Hey y'all, I'm back and I have more creepy stories for you guys. What else would I have? This is just a compilation of people's scariest Uber drive experiences. And I have a feeling I'm never gonna take an Uber again by myself. Let's get into it because this first one is long and seems insane. I haven't read the whole thing yet and I don't know if I want to. I was living alone, single, and getting ready to meet some friends at a bar/lounge to hang out about 4 miles away. Before I begin, I would like to add that I love Uber and Lyft as a service. Aside from this one experience, I've had positive experiences and often great conversation with my drivers. I think it's an affordable option and it saves me time and having to find parking, and it allows me to indulge in more cocktails while I'm out. I order the Uber, he arrives at my apartment within 5 minutes. I get out of my apartment, which, mind you, my front door was in plain view of the driver. I get in the car, we start driving out of the parking lot, and he immediately asks me, "How's your night going?" I give him a canned response. "It's going all right. I'm excited it's Friday, going to meet some friends." He lets out a deep sigh and says, "Good for you. I just found out my wife has been fucking another dude." His voice trailed off as he muttered, "Fucking whore." For a moment, I was waiting for him to let out a, "Just kidding, my night is going great." I guess watching too many Jude Apatow movies has numbered me to that type of language. Still, I was on alert. I didn't know what to say, so I blurted out, "I'm sorry to hear that." Without skipping a beat, he pronounces, "That's okay. I've been drinking all night to make it go away." Well, fuck me then. I guess this defeats the purpose of hiring an Uber. A minute of silence goes by. We're driving down the SW Barnes Road in an area of Portland that is heavily hilly and forested/dark. There's lots of tunnels and quiet neighborhoods. He then slows down as we pass a short dirt embankment on the side of the road. He starts to pull in, and that is when I whipped out my phone and texted my friends every detail I could notice. I screenshot the Uber driver's profile and take a slide picture of the side of him from where I was sitting in the back seat. Nar. He parks the car, turns around to look at me. It was then that I got a good look at his face. His eyes were dead and he looked like he hadn't shaved or taken care of himself in a long time. He then asks, "You're a woman. Why do you think it is that women like to do this to men?" I was frozen. A million bad thoughts popped into my head as I realized we were the only people on this portion of the road. I shrugged my shoulders. I knew that if I spoke, I would probably start crying. I thought about jumping out of the car, but where would I go? He knew where I lived. I had to hang on to the only chance that this guy was just down on his luck. I had to hang on to the tiniest bit of hope that I was being paranoid. He took a long swig out of a water bottle jar, which I can only imagine was alcohol, and adjusted a setting on his phone. He pulled out the turnout and kept erratically driving down the hilly road. He asked me prying questions like if I had a boyfriend who I was meeting up with. "That's a nice apartment you got there. Can you afford that all on your own?" The car was getting stuffy and hot. I kept texting my friends. They called me so that he knew I had someone on the phone. Once I saw the bright gleam of the blue Volvo dealership sign on Burnside as we emerged from the forested road, I knew it was home stretch. I had about 5 more blocks to go to get to my destination, but I told him to drop me off at the grocery store next door. I quickly got out of the car and ran inside the store. Needless to say, I reported him to Uber. I knew this might damage this man's livelihood, but his conduct scared me. For a couple of weeks, I feared that he would find out about my complaint and feel twice scorned by a whore of a woman. You should never feel bad for reporting someone for doing that to you. That's okay, because I totally understand, because I've had horrible experiences with like Uber drivers or like even people delivering food like DoorDash, whatever. No! And it's like, if they don't want their livelihood like taken away from them, then don't act like that. Because we should not feel bad that we felt like genuinely afraid that you might lose your job. Like, that's insane. Then don't act like that. If you don't want to lose your job, don't act like that. I don't know what to tell you. Don't act like that in general, perhaps. Scaring the fuck out of people? Nar. Like, scaring the fuck out of people and then expecting nothing to happen to you? Bye. Okay, I had my creepiest Uber ride today. This interaction took place in Austin, Texas. I had to take an Uber to my nail salon because I don't like to drive after getting a pedicure. I've scuffed my newly painted toes pressing the clutch in too many times. The ride to the salon went fine. I was the driver's first Uber client ever. I gave him 5 stars. The ride back was a massive test of my patience. It had me thoroughly disgusted and creeped out. My Uber arrived around 2 p.m. It was a giant Dodge Ram pickup truck. Okay, that's a little strange, but I can roll with it. No, honestly, I feel like I've never been picked up in a truck before. That actually is a little weird. I hopped, more like climbed, into the front seat and immediately smelled cigarette smoke. I don't mind if someone wants to smoke in their car, but if you're also going to use that car as an Uber, maybe you should reconsider. That was the lightning. Then came the thunder. Driver, So you must have gotten your nails done. No shit, Sherlock, you picked him up from a nail salon. Driver, oh yeah, you're out spending money. Women just love to spend money. I was taken aback. I was not expecting that. What the fuck am I supposed to say? Me, yeah, that's all I do all day is spend, spend, spend. No, like you're so funny, honestly, already. He was unfazed. Yeah, I know, my ex-wife just loved when I would come home after a long haul. I used to drive trucks cross country, you see. Yeah, she would just sit around counting the cash. Sometimes I'd come home with 5,000. Me, like, what? He didn't stop there. Oh no, Mr. Driver Pig went on quite a rant about divorce before abruptly changing the subject to strippers. That's right, strippers. He just loved strippers. White strippers, to be specific, from somewhere in Michigan. Me. Did I ask about strippers? No. Did I need to know that? Also, no. The rest of the way he covered topics including, but not limited to, how white people are awesome, how Trump is awesome, he fully supports building the wall, and obviously animosity towards his ex-wife. I was so creeped out that I had him drop me off around the block from my apartment. As I got out, he said, "Have a great day, Krista," in an extremely gross way. I quickly walked/ran into a coffee shop. I don't know what his problem was. Maybe he was ill, like he needed to be locked up ill. I don't know, but I reported his ass to Uber and they refunded my $7.50. Whoop-de-doo. I very much hope they do something about him. He should not be driving for Uber or anyone. No, because I don't know what, I just like don't even, I have no words. I have no words, clearly. I just feel like whenever people start ranting like that, I stop responding. And I know that's mean, it could be mean, I don't care, but like I said before, honestly, I don't care about being mean sometimes because you're making me uncomfortable. Why should I feel like I have to make you comfortable when you're not making me comfortable? But yeah, when people start going on rants about stupid shit or things that I don't agree with, I'm not gonna fight you, I'm not gonna debate you, I'm literally going to sit in silence. Maybe you'll get a every once in a while, but I just don't care. Drop me off. Like, I'm not here to talk to you. The creepiest Uber drive I ever had was in St. Petersburg, Florida, 2 years ago. I just moved there and was out with some friends. Yes, this was after a night of drinking, but I was fully aware of what was happening. So, the Uber driver picked me up downtown around midnight. I was taking the Uber back home alone because my friend lived downtown and I lived about 15 minutes north of there. Anyways, when I take Ubers alone, I always try to sit in the front seat, just in case something were to happen and someone attempted to child lock the doors or something like that. So I sat up front. The man who picked me up was a middle-aged Indian man with a very strong accent. I didn't think anything of it because I was from New York City and literally have had an Uber driver of every race, ethnicity, age, etc. I never previously had a problem with a middle-aged man. Normally they would just act like a dad or talk about their kids or whatever. At first we were talking, and this is probably where I screwed up. I was talking about how I had just moved here and he asked if I moved here with someone or family. I stupidly said I moved here alone but have friends in the area, not thinking that he will put 2 and 2 together, dropping me off alone, like living alone, etc. He then asked if I've ever been to the beach here, and I said not yet as it's my first week, so he asked if I wanted to go. And this is where I started to sober up very quickly. I said, no, it's midnight, I want to go home. He then pulled over into this creepy empty parking lot and said over and over again, let me know if you want to go. I need to know now. The exit is right there. And he's pointing over at the exit across the street. He said he would go with me. I tried to sound very calm and just kept saying, no, I need to go home. My friend is waiting on me at my apartment. He then pulled out of the lot very quickly and started speeding towards my apartment. During this time, he grabbed my hand and was rubbing it. I had pepper spray in my bag, so I mentally started to reach towards my bag, but I couldn't move. I was so terrified that I actually could not move. I couldn't move my hand away. I was scared he would freak out and bring me somewhere and do something. So I just sat there like an idiot with this strange man rubbing my hand for 10 minutes. We pull up to my apartment complex, which was very large, and I had him drop me off at the first set of buildings, so he didn't know where exactly I lived. I just acted dumb and ran out of the car. I didn't say anything. As soon as I got up to my apartment, I started uncontrollably sobbing on the floor. I never reported it. Oh, I never told anyone, and I know that's stupid because someone else could actually get hurt by this man. I'm normally the girl who will read an article about some girl getting hit on or grabbed wrong and say, if anyone did that to me, I would kill them, or I pity the person that ever tries to hurt me. But there I was in that situation, and I couldn't even find the strength to move my hand. That's really, really, really sad because I just feel like so many people like go through that. Like so many people have been in that situation, the same thing, and they think like I'm gonna be like stronger to an extent, like I'm not gonna freeze, and you do, because it's just so unexpected and you never know. Like That makes me really sad, and I'm sad that you never reported it, but I like don't feel bad for like not reacting the way you think that you should react. Nobody should ever be put in that situation, so you should never even have like a mental plan in place of like, I'm gonna do this. It should never have happened, so don't blame yourself for not reacting properly. Okay, this one's like from an Uber driver. I picked up a guy in the exurbs at around 2 a.m. After a few minutes, he propositioned me for sex so he could get a free ride. And I said, no thanks, let's just get you home now, but he persisted through the whole trip. Let's go into an alley, don't you want to get off? Stuff like that. It was all quite absurd on many levels. He was probably paying $12 for the ride. There were no alleys to go into for sex or anything else. I was at least 30 years older than he was. But you never know. You don't know if or how it might escalate, and I was alarmed. Very creepy. I was actually thinking, what if I were a woman? Did they go through this often? I hate that I assumed you were a woman. I dropped him off, all was fine. He was just drunk and being weird and probably barely aware of where he was or who he was with. I imagine more than just drunk. I reported him to Uber and suggested they get him off the platform as a danger to drivers. I don't know if he was or not. That kind of sucks that you guys don't get answers. Like if you report someone, like a driver or a passenger, it kind of sucks that you don't know if anything happened. I feel like they should be like, yeah, we banned him. Like on Instagram when you report someone, it like gives you an update. I don't know, I guess it's like obviously different, but I just wish you could tell if anything was done. This happened to me as an Uber driver. It was early Saturday evening in August, hot as hell, and I accepted a pickup at a motel in Santa Cruz on Mission. Pulled into the parking lot to discover I was picking up 4 hard partying frat boys. They weren't ready, imagine that, and invited me into their room to join the festivities. As a courtesy, I did enter the room but didn't join in. I don't drink and I'm a driver for hire, for God's sake. They all finally made it into the car. We were driving out to the boardwalk when the guy next to me in the front seat offered me a sip of his blue-colored drink, which I imagined to be Gatorade or something. It was odd, awkward gesture, but I thought it was harmless. And as I said, it was hotter than anything, so I reached over to accept the drink. Just as I did, one of the guys in the backseat yelled, "Don't drink it! Matt, what the fuck are you doing?" It has an unintelligible word in it. As it turns out, the drink had some type of drug in it. I'll never know what kind because I didn't understand the guy in the back seat, but whatever it was, I narrowly avoided driving in busy traffic under the influence of drugs. It was a weird ride that could have been a lot weirder. There's something so wrong with people, I'm sorry. That's insane, and I hope you reported them too. Like, that's crazy. To invite you in the first place is nuts. I would have canceled the ride. Well, just a few weeks ago, me and my sister decided to take an Uber to McDonald's drive-thru and back. The driver was rude the whole time, blasting loud rap music in our ears, having an attitude when interacting with us, and according to my sister, dropping hints at us with music. Apparently the song he was playing is called "I'm Upset" by Drake. We made it to the drive-thru and lo and behold, the person taking our order couldn't hear us. Why? Because he wouldn't turn the music down. I haven't personally been on a ride so terrible in my life, but it peeved me when we were talking and he blasted the music over us. Made me even angrier to the point I wanted to punch him in the back of the head when we were ordering, and he turned it up even louder. Like, what on earth was with this guy? He was angry when we got into the car to begin with, and it's not like we could just decline the ride for free. These companies charge for cancellation, so we decided to suck it up and deal with the horrendous driver. Oh, and he couldn't drive worth a turd. He was speeding and weaving in and out of traffic just to go down the street a few blocks and back. It was disgusting. Maybe we should have made a complaint about him, but I told my sister 1 star and 0 tip was fine. He would get paid for the ride regardless. I think honestly, if you tip somebody really low, that really hurts them anyway, so I feel like you didn't even necessarily need to report them. Like, it's obvious it was a bad ride. But what? Like, why was he so mad? Like, if you don't, like, I don't know. I'm so sorry. If you don't like people, maybe don't have a job where your entire job is, like, interacting with people. But also at the same time, I'm like, do you know how many Ubers I've gotten into that, like, we do not speak? It's like, hi, how are you? And then, thank you, bye. That's it. It could be like a 45-minute Uber, not a word is said. You don't have to talk to people, but you also don't have to be a dick, and you don't have to blast your music. That's insane. I'm sorry, that's insane. Like, be normal. The dead body in the trunk. I drove a lady, I think, who had a huge suitcase full of something that seemed like she had to kneel on it to get it shut. It had pieces of clothing sticking out, and it was super heavy. I don't remember much of the conversation, but I do remember that she joked that she had a dead body in her suitcase. She was completely straight-faced when she talked about it too, chuckling a little bit. I think we stopped at McDonald's on the way to her boyfriend's house to go through the drive-thru. I just know she gave off weird vibes, and the conversation topics were weird too. I would totally believe there was a dead body. Okay, and just like the scary dates video I did, there's so many of these, so I'm gonna stop here and I can make like another video about this because there's endless stories about scary Uber experiences, which does not make me feel good. But that's all I have for now. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any creepy Uber experiences or any creepy stories in general that you want to share with me or the community, I will have my subreddit linked down below. I have the tiniest bit of rambling to do at the end of this. If any of you, I need like advice from my neurodivergence, if you can. But other than that, I'm gonna go. I love you guys. I will see you in the next one. Bye. All my fellas and girlies and anyone else with ADHD, I have a question. So I've been telling you guys like the last, like, I don't even know how long, 6 months or whatever since I got diagnosed with ADHD, that I've been like going through the trial and error of medication. And I was on I'm on a pretty good thing right now. So I take Adderall, but I'm also on like other meds for my other diagnoses. But I do feel like what I have going right now is like working. Like I do feel like it's working really well. Or at least it like was for a long time. Like I was feeling really good. Sorry, Rumble is scratching his scratching post, so if you hear that, I apologize. But this is just the ramble portion, so it doesn't matter. No. Anyways, I'm on Adderall and I take like 4 Adderall a day. So I split them in half because I was doing like 2 of them a day. But I just felt like it would give me like a huge rush of like motivation. I would do all of this stuff and then I would just like kind of crash, I guess. And just like sit on my couch kind of miserable until it was time to take the next one. And I feel like when I break them in half and take like 4 a day, it spreads it out enough so that I don't feel like I still feel motivation and I can get stuff done and I feel good, but I don't feel like that crash or anything like that. But I have noticed the last maybe like week or 2 that it doesn't feel like enough anymore, because also for a little bit I was breaking them in half and only taking like 3 a day. Like on weekdays and stuff. Like weekends I would typically take 4 because I was like out later doing stuff, but like weekdays I would take like 3. And now I feel like I'm taking 4 every day, and then on weekends sometimes I'm having to take 5, which is fine because I do have excess because I was only taking 3. So it's like worked out. But I see my psychiatrist literally today when I'm filming this, so I'm gonna talk to him. But I'm just like curious if you guys have gone through this with like your body adjusting to medication and you constantly needing to raise it. Or is it something where like am I always gonna need to raise it? Or is it something where my body will eventually find a dose that just like works? Because the idea of like constantly having to raise my meds, I just don't like that. Like what, am I gonna have to take a bajillion milligrams of like eventually? I don't know. So I guess if you have any advice, I'm gonna ask him the same thing, but I like talking to you guys about this stuff because you guys like have experienced it, or some of you have obviously. Like experienced it and you've gone through this, and like maybe some of you have like found that you have been through the same thing, but now you're at a dose where you don't feel it taper off or wear off like sooner or whatever, like it was working and now it wears off, blah blah blah. So I guess just let me know what your experience is. I hope I explained that well. I don't know, sometimes I'm really bad at explaining this shit, but I'm gonna talk to my psychiatrist anyways today. But I wanted like your guys' input as well. But I'm gonna go because I have nothing else to ramble about, and again, I have an appointment and I'm running behind. No, I'm not late for the appointment, but I'm about to be, so I'm gonna go. I love you guys. See ya.